Would you look at what it is? It's been a while, but the boys, CJ, we're back in town, huh?
Yes,
We're
yes, yes,
back.
yes, we are. Yes, we
Been
are.
a, obviously been a while, but we are here. We're here to talk about the NFL, all the things going on. Nice to be back with my guy. Had a lot of stuff going on, leaving, different places, coming back, and this and that. But hey, me and CJ decided we still got to do this, huh? Me
Absolutely.
still got to do this. We still got to provide the people with the content. Obviously, kind of starting fresh and new. So I hope everybody is prepared for the journey. We know it's going to be a building process, but hey, you know what? Great things don't happen overnight. So we will take our time with it. We will enjoy the journey, and hopefully it leads to those great green pastures everybody's always talking about, huh?
Yeah,
But
I think it will. I think it will. Just for anybody, we kind of went the independent route. That's our route now. We were unwrapped. Again, shout out to them. They're the reason why Connie and I are a team, and we're able to do what we're able to do and talk about the game of football, everything that we're passionate about. And we just felt like it's our time to branch and do our own thing. And I think this is gonna suit us for the better. And I'm excited for the future.
absolutely, absolutely missed my guy, which is why I got to
Yes, sir.
start it off with CJ, how you doing? Huh? Anything I've missed in the time we've been gone? It's been a while there, brother. I know we've exchanged the text and everything like that, but I haven't talked to the man. Haven't seen that beautiful Patriot hat,
Yeah.
in a long while. What's going on there, guy?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well, bro. Obviously went independent with our basketball podcast, MNC Hoops. Been doing a really good job, dropping some content. It's been exciting going that route. Just creating our own destiny. That's really what it is. It's
Yes,
creating our own
sir.
destiny. Controlling what we can control. No one's really telling us what to do. We have all the freedom and what's possible for us. And and with that, comes a little bit of pressure at times, but it's just going to make you stronger down the road,
Makes
and it's just going
diamonds, they say,
exactly. That's exactly what it's going to make. And I'm just excited for this journey, man. Being with a network for what 4 years now, and now realizing, listen, this is time for us to do our own thing, and not just with the MNC hoops, but also here at the hard count. The time is right. Time is now. It's top of the year. In about 8 months left in the year. It's like, why not attack these 8 months, lock in, and see where it takes us. So I'm excited for the journey, and of course, like I wasn't just gonna let we weren't just gonna let leaving a network dictate what we wanted to do. At the end of the day, it's on us. It's about us. People come and watch us. They watch us because they think we bring a lot of great insight about the game of football. We have really good personalities. We're funny, and we just ourselves. We're ourselves, and all of this. So yeah, I'm just excited to keep this thing going, man, and not giving up and not just settling just because we're some other place it didn't work.
Yeah, man. I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. I'm excited for the little independent route. Like I said before at the beginning, it's going to be growing pains, or it's going to be a slow start. It might not have the amount of viewers we want at the beginning, but it's all about kind of just building from the ground up. We're going to do that. We're going to have fun while we do it. And hell, if you don't want to watch, you don't have to. If you want to watch, greatly appreciate it. We would greatly appreciate a nice like on the video, subscribe. Don't only subscribe here though. Go over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your pods, and go give us a like and a rating over there. You can find us at the same name, the Hard Count. So make sure you go and check that out. But I appreciate
Yes.
everybody that will eventually stop by and that might know us from other places. But
And we're on social media as well. We're on Twitter at the hard count underscore, on
yo,
Instagram at the hard count NFL. And also we have a Facebook page also, the hard count NFL. So you guys listen, if you guys want to, tune in, see what we're doing, make sure to, hit that like button, hit that follow button on all those social media accounts on YouTube at the hard count NFL. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell for when Connie and I go live, not only just for the live streams, we're also going to do some clips as well this season. Kind of shorten some things up, give you some more insight, so you can see where we're coming from, man. Again, like this is perfect for me. I'm just excited to see where it takes us, and let's get it.
Let's get it. Because listen, enough about us, huh? We might be interesting, but I know the people are here for the NFL content, and that's what we're going to provide you with. So we'll start it off with there's a lot of big stories going on right now, but you can kind of, what's going on? That's my guy, Noah. Appreciate you, boss.
Appreciate you, Noah. Appreciate you.
But we'll start with one of the bigger stories. I mean, you're kind of competing, depending on who you like more, who you think is going to be better this upcoming year, between Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson. But we're going to start with Lamar Jackson, and he's requested a trade. He has officially requested a trade. He said he did it on March 2nd. I believe the Ravens then went and did the non-exclusive franchise tag on him on the 7th, I want to say it is, as CJ right here is pulling up his tweets. I'll read that for the people. And a letter to my fans. I want to first thank you all for the love and support you consistently show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions. You can move that down a little bit there, boss, for me.
Yes, we will.
That background's hard. Shout out our girl, Bree.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Bree. Hooked us up.
So in regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization, for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me know I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family, and no matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore, Flock Nation, and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. So obviously, very appreciative to the fans, very appreciative to the organization in a way, but also, that little subtle jab of like, hey, they're just not respecting the value of what I bring to the team. And I guess you agree or disagree depending on how good you think Lamar actually is. CJ, if you've seen our episodes from other times, I'm not the biggest Lamar guy in the world. But I will say this. I can't believe nobody has been like, oh my gosh, we have to go and trade out for Lamar. Obviously, me and CJ are Patriot fans. If anybody's new and didn't know that, you can see CJ rocking the Pats hat. And I got a nice shirt on, too. I saw that CJ trying to hide it underneath that blazer. But, I mean, CJ, I think the thing that surprises me the most is, one, we've gotten to this point, and then two, the non-exclusive franchise tag. Because it's not a surprise at this point that he wants a trade, right? They've non-exclusive franchise tag. That's almost disrespectful. It's not even the exclusive one. But for me, it was always like, oh, well, obviously Lamar's going to get the extension. And then you got into training camp and he still didn't have it. And it was like, yeah, it's weird that he doesn't have it now, but it'll happen, before the preseason. And then it didn't happen in the preseason. You're like, all right, it's a little weird now, but it has to happen before the season. And it didn't happen before the season. And then, that's when Lamar kind of set his thing of like, I'm not negotiating during the season. I want to focus on playing football. And it was like, yeah, I'm sure he does. But if the Ravens come and give him an offer that he likes, I'm sure he'll accept it. And then you got through the entire season and that still hasn't happened. It's kind of like, what is going on here? And CJ, I kind of posed this question to you, and I talked about it yesterday on my other show, Generational Sports. Do you think, because there are people, teammates included, that think Lamar could have played at the end of the year last year? He missed about those 7 games, I want to say that it was. And a lot of people thought he could have played at the end of the year. And for him, I don't blame him because, RG3 said it best. He went out there with kind of the same injury that Lamar said that he had, and then blew out his knee, and he was never the same player. He never got that big second contract that Lamar is looking to get. So he sat out. But do you think that kind of hurt him in a way because it's like, you want me to give you this giant contract when you've missed the last 7 games of this year? You were hurt the year before that. Yeah, you have an MVP, but I also need you on the field to play at that MVP level. I can't just give you a guaranteed contract. That's the other thing too. Listen to Ian Rappaport. He doesn't think that he actually wants a fully guaranteed contract. He just thinks that Lamar wants most of his money guaranteed. And then, of course, there's teams out there that don't want that to happen because, Jim Irsay came out and said guaranteed money is bad for the NFL. All of these things. So, CJ, that's kind of a long-winded response to what's going on, but I'm also curious about, some of the things I mentioned there, what you think of the whole situation.
Yeah, this dynamic here with Lamar Jackson has really been a roller coaster for sure. I thought they were going to be able to get a deal done, like you talked about earlier. I just felt like it was inevitable. They drafted him. They took a chance on him. They went back up into the first round to acquire him back in 2018. And they thought, okay, this is our guy. When he got drafted, he said, you guys going to get a Super Bowl out of me, high energy. First year, he didn't get to play the first half of the season. Then Flacco he got hurt, but he was really done. It was done for Flacco. He wasn't the same. It wasn't 2012 Flacco anymore. He was washed. And Lamar came in and brought new life to this Baltimore Ravens franchise, got them to the playoffs. Yes, they lost. And then the following year, he wins MVP. Unanimous MVP, has a sensational season, leads the league in passing touchdowns, 1,000 yards rushing. And we're like, okay, here we go. Let's get it, because so many people didn't think he would be able to do this as a starting quarterback. We know when he got drafted, Bill Polian came out and said he should be a wide receiver. Granted, he was going to be a second or later. He was going to either go in the second round or later, had the Ravens not went up and drafted him with the 32nd pick, even though he had a better collegiate career than all the quarterbacks that got drafted ahead of him. And he's just defied the odds. And since he's been with the Baltimore Ravens, 45-16 as a starter, one of the best win percentages in the first 6 years of his career for any starting quarterback. I don't understand why he wasn't compensated. I really don't get it. I don't understand it from the Ravens side. I also don't understand it from the Ravens side for the fact that you have this young quarterback. He's on a rookie deal, and you didn't put any weapons around him. Why didn't you put any elite weapons around him while he was on his rookie deal? Now, when it's time for him to get paid, you want to be cheap and say, "Oh, let's do it. Let's make a deal like this that only favors the Ravens." Very weird. Last 2 years, he did get hurt towards the end of the season. I could argue maybe if they had some better weapons around Lamar on offense, maybe he doesn't have to do as much. Maybe he doesn't get hurt. Maybe he stays. Maybe he's able to play in those later games in those seasons. And who knows what happens after that? Who knows? So it's just weird. And also it's weird that a lot of teams aren't really clamoring and trying to acquire him. All these teams have come out publicly and say, we're not interested. We want out. We're out on Lamar. And I'm like, what are we missing? What am I missing? I don't understand what's the why is it so difficult for teams to try to see what's up with Lamar? I don't get it.
Are we buying into the collusion there, CJ?
I mean, I don't really want to. But it's just like everything's in front of us, and I don't understand why there's a plethora of teams, at least 20 teams, that don't have a quarterback at his level. Maybe about 23 or so. I feel like maybe about 7-8 quarterbacks you probably wouldn't think about trading. Chiefs, obviously, Chargers, Jaguars, Browns, the Eagles, the Bills. The list goes on and on. It's about seven or 8 quarterbacks. You don't think about making that call. But all these other teams, you have Falcons, even the Panthers before they even went up and made the trade for the number 1 pick. Colts haven't had a quarterback since Andrew Luck. They've been having a quarterback carousel for the last 5 years, and they're out on Lamar as well. It's weird. It's very weird.
See, that's the only thing I saw before that, and I'll at least respect this. I still don't really understand it, but I'll respect it. That the Colts came out and said that they're going to do their due diligence on Lamar. Like, I'm not sitting here and acting like every team should immediately be like, here's 4 first-round picks, Ravens. Like, we want him. Like, I understand that, maybe this team just doesn't think they have the capital, draft wise to get him, or this team doesn't think that, they have that much guaranteed money to give him. So that's why they're not doing it. But at least the Colts are like, oh, he's available. Yeah, we're definitely going to give the Ravens a call and find out what they actually want. Like, that makes sense to me. Now, what you said is what really shocks me, because like I said, I am not the biggest Lamar guy. Like, I'm not sure about the whole throwing mechanic things and everything like that. Obviously, he won the MVP. It was an unbelievable season. You have the issue of him, being hurt, and obviously when you're a running quarterback like he is, you have to worry about that. And also, I mean, listen, when he gets hurt, you're really losing two players. You're obviously losing your quarterback, but and I'm not even saying it in a disrespectful way, you're losing another running back. Because, I mean, this is a guy who, can rush for over 1,000 yards. So he's adding that much value to your run game. And then obviously he is the quarterback. So he's, in charge of the passing game as well. So you're almost losing, two players in one. So maybe that's why teams are hesitant too. But I've always thought, I kind of always think that draft picks are overrated. Why am I stockpiling all these draft picks, or in baseball, I'm stockpiling prospects when I can go out and trade for somebody who I know is a known commodity? Like, the Panthers could have taken what they did, given it to the Ravens, say let's just live in the fantasy world where they could have traded the exact same thing, right? They could have done that for the Ravens and gotten Lamar. But no, they trade up to one who they're now going to go pick a quarterback who, don't get me wrong, could be better than Lamar. The quarterback that the Panthers pick at one could literally become the greatest football player known to man. Could win 10 Super Bowls for all I know. I can't predict the future. But he could also become, Josh Rosen or Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell. The list goes, Zach Wilson in recent memory. That's why the Jets are trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers, which we'll get into next. But, I mean, you have a player that what he is, a former MVP, most rushing yards by a quarterback in a season, going to break the all-time record by a mile. And it's like, oh, no, we're not interested in Falcons. Why aren't you interested? What are you talking about? Isn't he? He's from the area. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Colts, they're doing their due diligence. And then, you get to our team, the Pats, and it's like, Robert Kraft, oh, you're going to have to talk to Bill on that one. What are you talking about, Robert? You're the owner, right? Like, listen, I know Bill's done some wonderful things for the franchise. When somebody asked him why should Patriot fans have faith in him, he said, well, look at the last 25 years. I mean, hey, that's kind of a flex. I'm not going to lie. But also, Bill, well, how about we look at the last 4?
Yeah, just look at last year.
Hasn't been very good. And I mean, Kraft, you're signing everybody's paycheck. Every single person that walks in that building, you take out your checkbook, write a nice little one, and you hand it to them. You're telling me you can't walk up to Bill and be like, listen, appreciate everything you've done for us. But, Mac, I'm good. Do you see the other quarterbacks in our division? Aaron Rodgers is about to be added. You see that Patrick Mahomes guy that just won a Super Bowl? You see that Herbert person over there? Don't forget about good old Joe Burrow. We need a guy. Kraft can walk you right in and say that. Now, what would Bill do? Would he say, well, if you're going to force me to do that, I'm going to retire? It's possible. Anything's possible. Shout out Kevin Garnett. But I feel like if you are a team that needs a quarterback and you don't make a call, you're just like, oh, no, we're out. Like the Commanders, too. Oh, we already said we're going with Sam Howell.
Of all franchises, like, they haven't had a quarterback in our lifetime. I'm 28. You're 22?
22, yeah. 23 next month.
RG3, Kirk Cousins, that's about it. So I'm like, for them to be out, I'm like, Sam Howell, really? Listen, maybe turns out to be a guy, but he's not Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be an MVP in the NFL. We could come back here during the season, and I'll say I'm wrong. I have no problem in saying that, but he's definitely not even close to the level of talent of Lamar Jackson. But that's the Commanders. I'm not surprised. That's what they are. They're poverty. So I get why they.
Well, hey, that might change. I don't know if we have it on the thing, but I don't know if you saw with the sale possibility.
Yeah, well, yeah. If they sell the team, then yeah, that would change some things. But right now, as long as Dan Snyder's there, that's what they're going to do.
Absolutely,
they're going to continue to be dirt. The completion percentage again, it's not the best, but who's he throwing the football to?
That's also
who's throwing the football. That completion percentage is also a part of who you throwing the football to. Your weapons. Someone has to also catch the football. And if they have receivers running routes,
they got him Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. Deshaun Jackson over the hill.
What do you mean? They got him Des Bryant.
They just brought in Nelson Aguilar.
Thank God he's off the Patriots.
That's their big time acquisition in the offseason. That was the best move they did.
See, honestly, Lamar's a better person than I am because the minute the GM he requested a trade on March 2nd, the second, and I mean the millisecond that I saw the clip of the GM, or I saw the quote, whatever it was, of the GM of the Ravens going, yeah, well, when you pay your quarterback a lot of money, you're not really going to be able to surround him with weapons. I would have immediately called and said, I'm requesting a trade. Oh, whoa, what's happening? Why would you do that? You can't surround me with weapons when I'm making a lot of money. I've been on a rookie contract the last 4 years, and you haven't provided me with one weapon the entire time I was here. And the one weapon that I did have, you traded away. Kyler has Hollywood. Lamar's I'm telling you right now, the minute that came out of the GM's mouth, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I am out of there.
And the thing is, we look at Kyler, and we talked about Kyler last year and how he was trying to hold out and because he wanted to get paid. That ended up being a smart decision because he got his money, he got all his guaranteed bread, and he tore his ACL, but he's not in the same situation like Lamar is right now, trying to get a contract. So
listen, does the ACL tear suck for his career? Absolutely. He don't care though. You know what he's going to do? Go to rehab and cash that $1 million check.
Yes, exactly, 1,000%. Now Lamar tweeted out a few weeks ago and said 3 years, 133 mil. I'm not taking that either. I would take 3 years, 150 mil guaranteed. That's obviously 50 mil a year. Deshaun's making 48. Kyler's making 46. He's better than both of those players. Deshaun, you can make an argument for Deshaun because the situation, the Texans were trash, and he had to carry the last couple years. From a talent perspective, you can make that argument. But in terms of success, team success, winning divisions, winning an MVP, the win percentage. He never had anyone even close to DeAndre Hopkins like how Watson had.
CJ, they gave him that contract not coming off of a good year. They gave him that contract coming off sitting out and 30 sexual assault or harassment allegations. That's when they gave him the contract. Listen, if we were sitting here talking and Deshaun Watson had just gotten that contract after, the year that they blew the lead to the Chiefs in the playoffs, you could be like, listen, they blew the lead, but he's obviously a very good quarterback. We didn't know if he was going to be good when he came back a year off of football. And let me tell you something. You think that the Browns quietly aren't panicking right now? Because if he plays anything like he did when he came back after that suspension last year, they're done. They're done. You just screwed your franchise for however long that contract is there for. Because let me tell you something. He was awful. And listen, on the field, that's all I'm talking about because I don't know what happened off the field. I don't want to get into it. On the field, I was very excited for him to come back. I couldn't wait. Deshaun Watson's very good on the field. What I saw, guaranteed contract, I would be shaking in my boots as the GM.
Yeah, and I feel it's for football, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And and to come into the season with 7 games left, you really weren't able to practice with any of the guys. You had no off season with any of the players. Yeah, you might know the offense, but you're just really taking mental reps. You're not in the facility. You're not watching film with the teammates. You're not really honing in on little details that take a part in the team's success, especially at the quarterback position. The quarterback should be it's the CEO of the team. So for him to come in after missing not only just that amount of time in that season, he missed a whole year prior to that. He's gonna get a pass for that based on what we've seen him, how he's played before last year. But Lamar has 0 off the field issues at all. None. The only thing we talked about, and this is what the media has talked about. Only thing they say, he doesn't have an agent. He's being represented by his mother, and I think the NFLPA.
Yeah, you know who else doesn't have an agent?
Larry Tunsil.
What did he just do, CJ?
Signed. He was the highest paid offensive tackle.
Okay, so there goes the no agent narrative. Shut up.
And exactly that, and that's a great point. And I'm just like, I just don't get it, man. I really don't understand why these teams are they're coming out publicly too, just so adamant to say we're out of Lamar. Like he's just some problem with the team. He's been a leader. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any teammates say anything negative about him. Even during the time where he didn't want to play towards the end of the year, even though he got hurt and people questioned, oh, he doesn't care about the team and this and that. I'm like, that ended up being smart as well, because if he had went in there and say he re-injured himself or something got worse, if it was an ACL, if it was something worse like that, and with no money, with no compensation, with no guaranteed contract on the back end, people would have said he's crazy. He should have sat out. So, the people that are saying he should have played, if he did play and got hurt, they would have been the same people saying that he should have just sat down. So you can't listen to those people. You're telling me the only reason why they couldn't reach a contract was because he's being represented by his mom? I can't. That's not enough for me. That's not enough for me. He's done so much on the football field for that franchise. Again, this franchise was headed toward poverty. They were 1-5 before he took over, before John Harbaugh said, okay, let's build around you now. You're ready to go. They were trash. And people look at the Ravens, and there's this perception of them that they're this great franchise. And okay, that was last generation. That's when they had Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden, those guys, those type of players, Terrell Suggs. When those players were there, yes, that was their identity. They had Hall of Fame players on that side of football. They had leaders on that side. That was the last generation of the Ravens. This generation, that also Ozzie Newsome was running the team back then. That's not the case now. Now it's DeCosta. DeCosta's running the team. So he has a different vision. He has a different mindset than Ozzie Newsome has.
CJ, that's an interesting point. And I don't know if this is literally just coming out of thin air. Ozzie Newsome, his last draft was his last pick ever as a GM was Lamar. Do you think the new GM is almost like, yeah, if we could have worked something out, it'd be cool, but I want to really, put my stamp on what I can do and find the new thing? Because that's always the conversation when old coaches and GMs get fired, of like, oh well, they don't technically have an attachment to this quarterback or this player, so they can just move on. Now, I'm not saying he wants to move on. Like I said, if they could have gotten a deal done, cool beans. But I almost wonder if it's like, all right, Ozzie, I appreciate everything like that you did, but it's my turn. Like, this is my team now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, when you get to a position like that, of course you have ego, of course you have pride. You feel like, yeah, you want to run things, you want to do things your way. And I've thought about that as well. I mean, DeCosta was there during that time that Ozzie Newsome made that pick for Lamar. Maybe he didn't want Lamar. Maybe he wasn't a fan of trading back up in the first round and acquiring Lamar Jackson. We don't know. Well, maybe we do know based on the actions we've seen from the Ravens over the last couple of years. He should have had an extension when Josh Allen had that extension. We were not even having this conversation. 44 mil, or I believe it's 43 and a half was what he said. Was the 3 years, 133 fully guaranteed. That would have been fine 2 years ago. But here we are 2 years later, and you've seen guys, Dak Prescott is making 40 mil.
Yesterday's money isn't today's money.
Exactly. We've seen Derek Carr get 40 mil. He hasn't accomplished anything close to Lamar Jackson on the football field. Now, granted, he's had some dysfunction with his franchise. But
I think the best defense he ever had, 27th ranked.
But nonetheless, regardless, if we talk talent, quarterback for quarterback, it's not even close. So, and Lamar, and like I said, Lamar's better than Kyler, and he's had more success and has accomplished more than Deshaun Watson. So, to me, he should be the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers might be, I think he's making like 50 something mil. He should be right there.
I think he's making 58.
58 mil. Yeah, it's crazy. 58 mil. Lamar should be second. And then Burrow, Herbert, those guys, will fall through. And then Lamar probably fall to like 4 or 5 because, the market obviously is going to increase as these contracts continue to, move forward. That's fine. I think I'm happy. Honestly, I'm happy that he's asking for a trade. I really am. Now the question becomes, where is he gonna go? Where is he gonna go? That's the big thing. And what team is going to make that move? You talked about Atlanta. Um, it makes the most sense. You have Kyle Pitts and Drake London on rookie deals,
and they already said they're out though.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Listen, the only two teams that I heard like are and out is the Colts, who said they're going to do their due diligence, and then the comments by Kraft that was like, you'd have to ask Bill.
And to your point about that, when you said obviously Kraft cuts the checks, of course, and I see why he's going to say that, because Bill built the whole thing. Yes, he was the investor, and Bill was the builder. So I understand why he would say you have to leave that to Bill. Bill built this entire dynasty franchise. The team was terrible before Bill took over and got all those guys in there and created what they created in New England. So I understand his point there, but what he's saying is, yes, I want Lamar. It's up to Bill Belichick. Because he easily could have said, "Oh no, we're not interested. We're looking at
Mac Jones."
He could have easily said that. He could have easily said, "We have Mac Jones." He didn't say that. He said we're going to leave that up to Bill. So he knows how talented Lamar is. There were reports back in 2018 that the Patriots were going to draft Lamar, and he was going to sit behind Brady, and then Brady would gracefully exit, and then Lamar was going to be the starting quarterback. There was reports about that back in 2018 also. So Bill had some interest in Lamar Jackson as well. So if that position presents itself, yes, you have to make that move. Mac, I've been a fan of Mac. We could go back to the tweets back when he was in Alabama. I tagged the Patriots, said this is the guy you need to draft. I'm still a fan, and he got a bad shake last year because Belichick had no clue what he was doing and hired two people that don't know offense, that don't know anything about the game of offense about football, and had him be the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator. It was terrible. It was a disaster last year. It was a disaster. So
Patricia might not even be on staff this year.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be anywhere near.
But I had to argue with people last year that Bill didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk that one up as a win. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I mean, listen. look at the season we had, and look how dysfunctional. Look how dysfunctional it was. And what made it even worse was look at the games that we could have won had we potentially had a decent offense, at least. So. Yes, if you're asking me today, should the Patriots, inquire about Lamar Jackson, even though they have Mac Jones, absolutely, because we've seen what Lamar has done with less already. 45-16 without one Pro Bowl wide receiver on the outside. His best weapon is Mark Andrews, tight end.
Yep.
And you said he's a running threat and the pass. He's the best running threat on the team. Gus Edwards was hurt. J.K. Dobbins has been hurt in his early career. They haven't had a Nick Chubb behind him. They haven't had a Joe Mixon.
He might be the best running threat in the NFL.
He's up top 5. Yeah, he's up right up there with the running backs. Sure. Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. Come on. No question about it. So
the shiftiness, the speed.
It's all there. It's all there. And also this is another point too, where people say the scheme. This is what they love to do with these running quarterbacks. They'd say he can't play he can only play in a running style scheme. Lazy, very lazy. He played in a pro style offense at Louisville, where he was in the pocket. Of course, okay, yeah, he's gifted. So if the play breaks down, I'm not just gonna stand in the pocket and get sacked. I'm gonna use my legs and use my gifts to extend plays. That's just common sense. That doesn't mean that he can't play in a pro style type offense. We've already seen him play in a pro style offense at Louisville, another team where he had to carry, where there wasn't a lot of great talent around him, and he still won the Heisman. What am I missing? What am I missing? CJ, is there some undercover story we don't know about that all these 32 teams know and the fans don't know? Like what?
See, I'm telling you, bro. I really do think I'm not one of the conspiracy collusion, blah, 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 this, that, whatever type of person usually. But I really do think that if anybody in those owner meetings is ever like, yeah, we're thinking about getting Lamar, all the other owners give him just a silent, death stare. And they're I swear to God, if you do that and you give him a guaranteed contract, I dare you to ever, propose a new rule change. You'll get a 31-1 on that one.
But where's the report that said he wanted Deshaun Watson's deal?
That's what everybody I don't know where the stories come from, but that's all you ever hear, though. Lamar wants a guaranteed contract. And listen, maybe it's smoke and mirrors so that other teams are like, oh, yeah, we're not, if he wants a guarantee, we're not even going to call that. There's no point. You know what I mean? Maybe.
I haven't heard any of the insiders, Rappaport or Schefter, come out and say Lamar
That's the
Jackson
thing.
wants
Rappaport
a
came out
Deshaun
today
Watson
and said
deal.
that he doesn't want fully guaranteed. He said he wants like a lot of guaranteed money, which fair. That's what all people are getting now. But like, you keep hearing everybody say like, oh, he wants a fully guaranteed. He wants fully guaranteed. And even with people saying no, he doesn't, there's still others that are like, oh yeah, he wants fully guaranteed. It's like, I don't know. If I had a real answer for you, should I be the GM?
I have no problem in giving him a fully guaranteed deal. Now, if I'm an owner, I would, I'd probably make it 3 years. And then we could come back and negotiate after 3 years and with the contract, or after 2, and we could extend them and do something like that. Sure. Because again, you don't want to, from an owner perspective, you don't want to give him a 5-year, 6-year deal. And God forbid he gets hurt. And then people view him as quote unquote damaged goods from that point on. You don't want that to happen. So I would say a 3-year deal, $150 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins got what, two fully guaranteed contracts
back to back,
and he doesn't even come close to Lamar Jackson on the football field in any aspect ever. So it's just weird, man. I really don't understand it. Again, no off the field problems, zero, nothing. Just reserved, stays to himself, just goes out there, plays football. He's defied the odds. He wasn't supposed to be in this position right now. People didn't have him as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL when he got drafted. They had all those other guys ahead of him being elite. Honestly, not even really Josh Allen per se. A lot of
Sam Darnold was the savior.
Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Rosen, all of those players were taken ahead of him, and now we see Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield on 3 different teams in 5 years. Josh Rosen's out the league, and Allen was the wild card. He was the guy with the raw talent, but really didn't know how good he could be. He could be a sink or swim type guy, and it ended up working out. He worked on his game and became an elite quarterback. Okay, and it's him and Lamar. Those are the 2 best quarterbacks in that draft class, where people didn't expect that to be the case, and it's just sad to me. It really.
You do a redraft of that draft. Lamar and Josh go 1 and 2.
Easy, and those other guys don't even get drafted. They don't even get drafted.
And if they do, it ain't in the first round.
Yeah, if they do, it's it's 4th, 5th round. So again, I think wherever he goes, this is just more motivation for him. And he's already been motivated since he's gotten to the NFL. So now, where he's accomplished so much in the league, the team that took a chance on him, they don't want to fully compensate him and give him the pay that he deserves. They're lowballing him. They're not giving him the proper weapons. This next team he goes to, he's going to turn up. He's going to turn up.
Imagine.
He's going to turn up, man. And that's what I'm most excited about now. So I'm happy he requested a trade. I'm happy he's getting out of there. And if the Ravens feel like they could do better without him, let's see. I based on their roster, yeah, they have some really good players on defense. They have a couple really good guys on defense. Offensively, I don't see much. J.K. Dobbins should be better next year after tearing his ACL. We always talk about that year after the injury being the better year.
Yeah,
he could be better, sure, but how much better will he be without the threat of Lamar's running ability on that offense as well? We'll see.
They paid Roquan Smith before they paid Lamar.
It's weird.
That might have been when I take it back. That's when I would have requested the trade, not when the GM said, we can't pay him and then pay receivers. They paid Roquan Smith after they traded for him. I'd been like, yeah, I'm good. Never been better.
It doesn't make any sense to me, Connie. It really doesn't. And with this next team, I'm going to be rooting for him. I'm already rooting for him, but this next team he goes to, I'm definitely rooting for that team, just because it's just wow.
It's weird.
The media,
I'm not gonna lie, it's weird. Like I said, I'm not. I am not a Lamar defender or anything like that, but I don't get. I really don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And if he had Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, if he had players like
See, that's
that,
the thing too.
and
Like
he
if
was
he
and he
had
was
those,
selling in the playoffs, I'd be like, okay, I get you, right? I'd be like, I'd agree with you. I'd be like, listen, he has these weapons on the outside, and he
that was
still
going to
can't
be
get it
my
done.
point.
But bro, maybe Bateman becomes a guy. I don't know who else. Duvernay.
Like if he had all those great wide receivers and still had a bad completion percentage, couldn't get it done in the playoffs, then it's like you want fully guaranteed, but you can't even make it past. You can't get to a championship game. I mean, he won at least a playoff game with who? Oh,
can't even name the wide receivers right now on that team, bro. And that's my point. You can't even name the wide receivers on that team that he won the playoff.
I know
game with.
Bateman because he he's on my fantasy team in Dynasty, and I know Duvernay because honestly, I don't even know him from a receiver. I know him from a punt returner.
They had Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown how was he in last year in Arizona? Disappointment. So
well, when D-Hop wasn't there, that man was on a mission.
It's just
and then he hurt his foot, and then whatever. But CJ, how about we move on and we go to another quarterback? So that's where the other obvious big story of the offseason has gone to. Aaron Rodgers. He goes into his little darkness retreat hole, comes out of it, pops up on the Pat McAfee show. Wonderful program, by the way. Pat, if you ever see this, big fan. And honestly says, I was going to retire. He said, I had a 90-10 that I wanted to retire. He went to the darkness retreat, came out and said, you know what? I'm going to go play for the Jets. I'm going to go play for the Jets. CJ, I see you got the clip there. So, obviously the caption is there as well for everybody that can, read that. I don't know if you were going to play. We're going to play it. And I'm just, talking over you because I'm an idiot.
No, you're good. I'm going to play it and you can react.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Let's turn this up a little bit.
You don't got no sound here, CJ.
You couldn't hear it?
No, I don't hear it at least.
Okay.
But listen, whatever. I mean, you can read the quote there anyway. You said, since Friday, I made it clear that my intention was to play for the New York Jets. So those are Aaron Rodgers' words. Now, this is where we get into the whole who has leverage, who's going to blink first, what's going to happen. And it's been said before on that very show. Pat McAfee said it, and I agree with it. I just don't understand how the Packers have any leverage in the situation for two reasons. One, you have to find out what Jordan Love can do because you have to pick up his fifth-year option next year. At the end of the year, you have to pick up his fifth-year option. So what are you going to do? You're going to play Jordan Love and have Rodgers sit on the bench and make $60 million to sit on the bench. That's what you're going to do. For him to hold a clipboard and find out what Jordan Love can do, you're going to have him make $60 million, whatever it is. Let's be real. No, you're not. And then number two, the GM, not some random fan, not some disgruntled, wide receiver that might not like Rodgers, not a former teammate, not somebody in the media, the GM, general manager of the Green Bay Packers said, and listen closely here, if everything goes wrong, Aaron Rodgers will be our quarterback next year. What? Excuse me? If everything goes wrong, you just killed every possibility of having leverage right there. You said if everything goes wrong, Aaron Rodgers will be our quarterback. So why would I give you what you want? You don't want him. You do not want the quarterback that is currently on your team who is about to make $58 million. And then you're going to sit up here and tell me you want 2 first-round draft picks or whatever it is? I'm good. I've never been better. Because like I said, if they want to go and pay him $58 or $60 million to sit on the sideline and draw up plays and talk to Jordan Love on the mic. Power to him. Power to him. It's not going to happen though. It's not going to happen. So I'm very intrigued what happens in this situation. I think it's going to happen on draft night. I think the Packers are going to have to blink first. And I think the Jets really want to keep that 13th overall pick. So I think it's going to end up I think it's going to be a first next year and then like an escalator pick where, if Rodgers plays, because that's the other thing, people aren't sure how long he wants to play. So I think it'll be, all right, we'll give you a first and like a third. But if Rodgers plays the second year and plays, this amount of games, it can move up to a second. And if he plays this amount of games, it can move up to a first or whatever. So I think that's what it'll turn out to be. And honestly, talking about the last guy we were just talking about in Lamar, that might be another chip. That it's weird. It can be a chip for both teams, right? Because the Jets can be like, all right, you're not going to give us Rodgers. Maybe we will go contact the Ravens about Lamar. You don't know what we're going to do. But you got to think about this, CJ, because I've thought about this, and it would be something. If Lamar gets traded before Rodgers gets traded, then you low-key kind of put the chips in the Packers' hands. Because you got to think about it. That means they missed out on Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, right? So they missed out on every single one of them. Now all of a sudden the Packers can go, yeah, you guys don't want to give us those first 2-round picks, right? But you just hyped up getting Aaron Rodgers the whole year, the whole offseason to your fans. You guys sold season tickets basically promising that Aaron Rodgers was going to be on your team. And you're going to start Zach Wilson opening night? Good luck. And then hang up the phone. That's exactly what I would do if I was a GM. Because then the Jets, you're screwed. You have to fold at that point. I'm sorry. Your poker face is done. You have to fold. Because you went all in on Rodgers, and now you're done. You're done. Because if you start the season with Zach Wilson, there might not be a stadium to play in for week 2.
Only the Giants got to play in MetLife.
Listen, I think Jet fans would go insane. Can you imagine the boos of the Jets team taking the field, whatever week they open at MetLife, if Zach Wilson is still there and they missed out on Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're stuck with Zach Wilson, the guy who couldn't get you into the playoffs last year with one of the better defenses in the league, the guy who couldn't score a touchdown against the Patriots, or threw the game away against the Patriots in the first one and was absolutely terrible and got replaced in a Thursday night game against the Jags. You're going to start the season with him. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. I think it gets done. I think a deal gets done. I really doubt it gets to that point. If it gets to that point, then you have to look at both sides and look at both of their negotiation, the way they negotiate contracts and the way they negotiate deals and players, because it just should never get to that point. I've seen the media. They don't like Aaron Rodgers, and this is the thing with the media, right? It's if you think differently, or if you have a different opinion that's not the norm or what's viewed as right or accepted, if you speak out or you say something against a media member, or you speak up for yourself or say something like that, then they love to attack you. They love to attack you, and they love to get at you and make segments and make jokes about what he was doing in his dark phase, his dark retreat, a dark therapy, whatever it's called.
Good old foot Dr. Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Then exactly doing the Joe Rogan podcast and all of those type of actions. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. For me, the Packers didn't want Rodgers the moment they drafted Jordan Love in the first round. Yep. Because if you really had confidence and faith in him, you don't draft him in the first round. You don't draft Jordan Love in the first round. You could probably get a quarterback in the later rounds. Yeah, sure, develop him for the next couple of years. But once they made that move, that's when the clock started on his time in Green Bay. It's just a fact. So, for the media to come out and say, Rodgers is out of his mind for feeling this way about Green Bay. Well, it's like he saw the team. And remember, he was on the Pat McAfee show when they drafted Jordan Love too. The live reaction.
Certainly was.
Live reaction. That's really how kind of everything started with them and their relationship on the Pat McAfee show. It's just weird, man. It really is. Now, did he have a great season last year? By his standards, no. But
by Jet standards, that might be the second best quarterback season of all time. Let's be real.
Yeah, by Jet standards, if he plays like that, they're in the playoffs. And honestly, they don't really need him to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. He's of course he can still do the things that we're accustomed to seeing, but he just has to manage the game, maybe at a higher level, of course, than just a Garoppolo or a Carr. But yeah, go ahead.
CJ, I've said this several times, and people might think I'm joking when I say this. If they had the 32nd or 31st worst quarterback in the league last year instead of the 32nd, which Zach Wilson was, I mean, honestly, might have been 34th if you consider Brock Purdy and Trey Lance with everything that happened with them. If they don't have the worst quarterback in the league last year and they have anybody else in the league, I truly think anybody else in the league, don't care who it is, the Jets make the playoffs.
I agree. Now we say that, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have the same type of season next year.
True.
That doesn't mean that just because they had a top 2 defense last year, doesn't mean they're going to have a top 2 defense this upcoming year. We've seen that all the time where we assume and we play the on paper game and we think, oh, this team's stacked. Oh, they're going to do this again. And the way football works, it doesn't work like that. That's not how basketball. Yeah, the probability of that, have a good team next year. Yeah, they're probably still going to be a good team. Football, not so much because the violence in the sport. So that's why you should bring a guy like Aaron Rodgers that could kind of mask some of those deficiencies that you might have throughout the season at the quarterback position. It'd be great for the Jets. It'd be fantastic for the Jets if they were to get him. He'd obviously be the best quarterback they've had since, I guess you could say Favre. But before that, Joe Namath.
You know that Joe Namath is the only 4,000-yard passer they've ever had?
They just haven't been able to get that position right. So even Aaron Rodgers at 39 is an upgrade. It just is for that franchise. The question is, of course, how long will he play? And I think that's just really just a conversation that you should have with Aaron Rodgers. Ask him, what is it, a year-by-year thing? Is it 2 years and I'm out? Am I going to play the entire contract? Communication is key. You don't want to just acquire him and just say we're going to get him and we're just going to hope and pray he plays for the rest of his contract. Now they did fly out to California, and Woody Johnson and Joe Douglas, they did fly out and met with Aaron Rodgers, which of course led to this process of him coming on the Pat McAfee show and saying he wants to go to the Jets. Those were the steps that led to this graphic that we're seeing right now for the viewers. But see, as a Patriot fan, I'm nervous, of course, but for the Jets standpoint, they should be excited, and I think it's going to happen. You said by draft night. I see that being possible. We're 4 weeks away from the draft. I see the trade happening. If not during the draft, definitely before it.
See, and honestly, that could be another thing. I mean, I talked about the bargaining chips for either one of these teams. If you're the Jets, that's another chip on you for you. You want 2 first-round draft picks, and I don't know how long the guy's going to play. Because listen, as great of a quarterback he is, and some people might disagree, some people might. He's a weird dude. He does some unconventional things. And listen, I don't care what he does with his life. Doesn't affect me one bit. Whatever Aaron Rodgers wants to do to himself, don't care. Never did care. Still won't care. But at the end of the day, definitely, a little strange, and to the point of like, if you could see anybody in the NFL ever walking away from $60 million, it would be him. Like he's already made so much. So I mean, I could see that, yeah. So it's kind of like two first round draft picks, and I might have the guy for a year.
But like you said earlier, what's draft picks?
That's true. That is true. But also,
what's two first round draft picks if you're going into the playoffs? You're going to have a 20-something pick anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, that's true. But what happens what if I give you two first round draft picks and then he only plays 1 year, then retires? So that second year where I gave him my first round draft pick, what if I go, 3-15 because I just screwed myself hoping that Aaron Rodgers was going to stay here for a couple of years. And then now the Packers have my pick, and maybe it's the third overall where I could have gotten a quarterback. So that's why I said, though, CJ, I think it should be an escalator pick. Depending on how much time he plays is what the second, I think the first year where he's guaranteed to obviously play, it's a first round pick. Yeah, they deserve that. Sure. 4-time MVP, best player in your franchise's history, right? I think the second pick in the draft in the trade should be like a third that can get up to as high as a first if they really want. And it all depends on what happens if he plays the second year. That's what I think would be the most fair option.
Yeah, that's fair, and I can see that happening as well. Just because of you said we just don't know, and again, you got to have the communication. You got to have that communication with Rodgers. What are you thinking about? If it's year to year, then I can definitely see the language in that trade being something where if he does leave, it becomes this. Yeah, I definitely see that. I agree. And for Green Bay, let's see what they do with Jordan Love, man. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Jordan Love, more so than ever. He's going to be one of the most scrutinized and looked at quarterbacks in the NFL. One, because he's a successor to Aaron Rodgers, and also he's in the NFC where there isn't great quarterback play right now in the NFC. So people are going to look to him and say, "This is your team now. What are you going to do with it?" Now, of course, a smart football team wouldn't just say do everything. They're going to run the football. They still have Aaron Jones. They still have AJ Dillon. Christian Watson really had a great rookie season. You expect him to, continue to improve in his career. His sophomore year, Romeo Doubs also had a pretty solid rookie season. So they have two young stud wide receivers that you would hope develop a great chemistry and relationship with Jordan Love. So they could still be really. Jair Alexander's still there. Devondre Campbell's still there. So they still have Kenny Clark. They still have quality football players on that team. But it's going to be a lot of questions. It's going to be a lot of questions, and we'll see if he answers the call. And for the Jets, there's going to be pressure on Rodgers too. Yes, he's accomplished so much. He's won a Super Bowl, Super Bowl MVP, four regular season MVPs, like you said earlier. New team, new challenge, new conference, tougher conference, tougher division. Even though the Patriots don't have a quarterback on the level of Aaron Rodgers, they still have the greatest head coach of all time. So schematically, it's still a chess match, regardless of who they have at quarterback any given Sunday. You still have to worry about that because Belichick is Belichick when it comes to X's and O's, right? So Josh Allen, Miami was in the playoffs. So it's not, the division alone is difficult, let alone the conference where you still got Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow as well. So it's going to be a fascinating story. And that's usually what the NFL is, a bunch of fascinating stories. So I just can't wait to see how it plays out, man. I really cannot wait to see how it plays out for both squads. This is going to be interesting to see.
It certainly will. And what got interesting just a couple weeks ago, I believe it is, the draft. The draft is here. CJ, I want to give you the floor for it because I know you're going to probably pull up the trade here or everything because you're more of the college guy. It's kind of known. Not into it too much. But the Panthers have traded for the number 1 overall pick, and they're obviously going to pick a quarterback. You don't trade for the first overall pick unless you're probably picking a quarterback. I mean, unless that player at number 1 is just unbelievable, they're going for quarterback. And obviously, the Panthers need one anyway. We know that. So, CJ, I leave it to you because I've seen Bryce Young play. I've seen CJ Stroud play. Both very impressive. But one might be better than the other. They might both be bad. One might be good. One might be bad. You never know. CJ, you're the GM of the Panthers right now. What are you doing?
Big trade by the Panthers. They were aggressive. I like that. They didn't just settle. They said, okay, we have a solid pick, but let's try to make a move and try to get the number one pick. Let's try to get a franchise quarterback here for the next 10 to 12 years. And that's exactly what happened. I truly, I don't think you could go wrong either way between Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I think they're both extremely talented. They've had phenomenal collegiate careers at Alabama and Ohio State, respectively. Both of them had really good pro days as well. Now, people are going to look at Bryce Young's height as a concern, as a factor, because you look at Tua, and you saw Tua as a smaller quarterback, and he's dealt with some injuries. But Bryce really didn't have injuries at Alabama like we saw with Tua, with the hip, with the ankle. That wasn't really the case with Bryce Young in his career in Alabama. So I don't think it's fair to just assume just because he's shorter, just like Tua was smaller, or Baker or Kyler, that's just the formula. It's good evidence. It's good evidence. You got 4 or 5 guys. Baker, you got 4. Even Breeze got hurt. Russell Wilson's got hurt. Wow. So it's evidence for sure. They have solid evidence to make that point and say, I'm a little apprehensive on that. I get it, but you still have to look at what he did on the field. And he won the Heisman. He was an exceptional football player. And I think you really can't go wrong there. I think he probably falls to the Texans. And I think that'd be a good spot for him. He could play in the dome, 8 or 9 games throughout the season. And division that's, we expect the Jaguars to, be the top of that division for years to come, but it'll be a great battle between those two teams if he does become a guy. I think they should make that move, and for the Texans to make that move, and then for Carolina, yeah, you go with CJ Stroud for sure. He's taller. He definitely has the right build, he has that prototypical quarterback build. People question whether or not he could be mobile. And I think in the college playoff game, we saw that. We saw he could be mobile and he could do some things.
Wasn't he hurt in that game too? Did he have something wrong with his ribs?
Yeah, some ribs. Yeah, he had some ribs and still had a really good game, balled out against Georgia. Unfortunately, in a loss, went that well. I believe they missed a field goal in the game.
Yep, that was right when the clock struck midnight for the new year.
Yeah. So, he's a bowler. He's a gamer, man. And I think they're going to go with CJ. We obviously saw Josh McCown talk to CJ Shaw and said, we could, when you find a house in Carolina, we could find a basketball court to hoop at. So he's kind of giving his hand away pretty much in what they want to do. So I think they go Stroud at 1 and Bryce falls to the Texans at 4.
I mean, yeah, I would. Listen, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know more than CJ because, like I said, I'm not. I tried paying attention to college a little bit more this year. I definitely did, but it's just really not my thing. And I blame being from New York, even though CJ is too. So I guess I can't really use it as an excuse. But I just don't have that specific team to root for unless I really cared about Syracuse or Rutgers, which I don't. And Rutgers is Jersey anyway. But I think I would go Stroud, and my simple, stupid reason for going with Stroud is because of the Georgia game. That semifinal game, just because you got to think Georgia probably has even their backups, you got to think. So I don't think it's just their first string, because we even saw the backups against TCU were destroying them. Georgia probably has a minimum of 10 NFL players on that defense or on that roster itself. And Stroud was in a absolute dogfight with them. Probably could have won the game. Probably should have won the game, I should say, if the kicker just makes the field goal. So I think I would pick Stroud. Like CJ said, too, he's more of the, prototypical build. He's bigger, he's stronger, still a little bit mobile, which is obviously where the NFL is heading. Everybody wants the mobile quarterback now. You can't just be a statue. I think the days of a Tom Brady are over. I mean, even Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are kind of considered statues, and they can low-key kind of move. We've seen them, run for first downs plenty of times when they need to. So I think everybody's going towards the more mobile, and as long as you can escape a rush a couple times a game, that's really all you need. I'm not asking you to be Lamar Jackson, but You can't have cinder blocks attached to your feet anymore. I don't think everybody's too fast and too strong and too good to be like that. So I think that they would go Stroud as well. Talking to Josh, my co-host over there on Generational Sports, who is a Panther fan, he also believes that they're going to go with Stroud. But it'll be interesting because as bad as it is, or maybe not even bad, but annoying, there is technically going to be a wrong answer probably. I highly doubt that these two are going to go on to have the exact same career. And listen, we're talking about these two. Maybe Will Levi has an unbelievable career. Maybe Anthony Richardson, who a lot of people think is honestly the most talented, but he's just, raw and they don't know what he's actually going to become. Maybe he'll have, the best career out here. So it's going to be very interesting, but I'm going to agree with CJ and I'm going to agree with, my guy Josh that they're probably going to end up going with Stroud. And if anything, this is a situation where we're going to find out who was right and who was wrong.
Yes.
This isn't, opinion based, everything. There are going to be hard facts that they made a good or bad pick. It's as simple as that. If Stroud goes on to have 3 MVPs, they win a couple Super Bowls, he's a first team All Pro. Well, congrats, you made the right pick. If he goes on to be terrible and he's out of the league in 3 years, well, looks like you should have went somewhere else. But
he's in a good spot, man. The head coach Frank Wright, former quarterback, McCown, quarterback coach Josh McCown, former quarterback. I saw Jim Caldwell at that pro day with the Carolina Panthers as well. We know the success he's had as being a head coach in the NFL. So he looks to be in good hands. When he does, if and when it looks likely, like you said, that he becomes a Carolina Panther. I think and both teams too. They have Carolina more so importantly, they have a really good defense and it's a winnable division. Derek Carr, listen, Derek Carr's, he's good, but he's not. I'm not, if I'm a Carolina Panther fan, I'm not scared of Derek Carr being under center. Now, could that change now that he has like you said, a defense that we would hope is better than 27th in the NFL, like he had in a few years? Yeah, that could change some things, but I would still look at it still being a very winnable division. And if he becomes a guy right away, it makes it exciting. It really does. So. I'm rooting for both guys. I'm rooting for both players. I wish them nothing but the best.
Absolutely. The more good quarterbacks there are in the league, the more entertaining the league is. So I'm hoping every quarterback that gets drafted turns into a god.
Exactly. In the NFL and the NFC, they need young quarterbacks.
Name the best quarterback in the NFC right now, besides Jalen Hurts. Dak?
Yeah, I guess by
Kirk
default.
Cousins?
Yeah, bro.
Like, name a top 5 NFC quarterback list right now. It would be like Hurts, the Grand Canyon, and then what? Kirk Cousins, Dak,
Carr, I guess.
Yeah.
I
might have to put Brock Purdy there.
Justin Fields. You think Justin Fields is going to make that next leap?
Okay, big leap? Fields. I think Fields is going to be good.
Yeah, so I know Fields, Hurts, and then you got the veteran mids with Dak and
Stafford had a terrible year.
Stafford, yeah, but there's so many questions.
Is Geno Smith going to repeat or go back to what he used to be? We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
This is a results-oriented business. All right.
And for Bryce's sake, if he does go to Houston, D'Amico Ryans is there, defensive-minded head coach, so he knows how to take care of a young quarterback. You have a great defense, you have a really good run game. So for those first couple of years, even if he does struggle, you have that to fall back on to make things easier for a younger guy. And for Carolina too, like I said, they have a really good defense as well. And now their offense is have so many quarterbacks, former quarterbacks or guys that know how to call plays. It should really be a really smooth transition for Stroud. So we'll see. And again, like I said, I'm wishing both players the best.
All right, CJ, how about we move on to our final topic of the night? We will move on into the NFL free agency moves. Obviously, a lot of things have happened since the last time me and CJ have been on a program together. So we got to dive into all of those things, where players have went, what teams have lost, what teams have added, and CJ's pulling it up right now, so we'll be able to see what everybody was doing. Cardinals.
So yeah, we can kind of skim through if it. Couple
Yeah, I
guys.
mean, Kaiser White, not terrible. Corey Clement, I mean, he was nice for the Eagles a few times. Matt Prater had a new punter. Congrats. Cardinals, whatever. Nothing crazy.
Nothing major.
Shout out the
Carter.
Falcons for getting rid of Jonnu Smith. Appreciate you.
Yeah, he's going back to his former offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. That's where he had the most success. So you would hope and expect he has a much better time with Atlanta as opposed to during New England. It was just the biggest disappointment in a very long time. He wasn't able to do anything, could never figure out the offense. Granted, like I said, last year was a disaster when it came to calling plays. But the year before that, he was also very underwhelming. So now he's going back to a head coach that helped him get the position to get the type of money that New England gave him in the first place. So we'll see if he plays well. And he doesn't have to be the guy. You have Kyle Pitts there. So that could be a good spot for him. Taylor Heineke is there now. Jesse Bates. Yes. Big pickup, big move.
Best safeties in the league.
Yes, one of the best safeties in the NFL. Had a great career in Cincinnati. Even though Cincinnati is cheap, they're not going to pay guys. So he went out there. And
I don't even know if Jesse Bates is about being cheap. It's just the fact that they have to pay Tyler Boyd. They're going to have to pay Joe Burrow. They got to pay Jamar Chase coming up. I mean, they got some big contracts they're about to start handing out. So
yeah, I don't know if they're going to hand out all of them though. Like I said, the Bengals, they're historically known for low balling
historically
guys.
They are, but CJ, the only reason I think that's changing, they finally sold the naming rights to their stadium, and they built an indoor practice facility which they hadn't had. So they're starting to pour a lot of money into the team because I think that they know. I mean, damn, we got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. We're going to be good for a little bit of here. Like we're going to be all right. So they finally started putting money in. That's why it's not what is it, something Brown Stadium anymore. They sold the naming rights there. They started investing more money into the team. So I think those frugal days are finally over. I really do.
I hope so. I really do. I hope so for Cincinnati Bengal fans' sake. But yeah, with the Atlanta Falcons, Jesse Bates, really good pickup. Veteran, could come in there with a young team.
Get them settled on the defensive side.
Yes,
be their captain.
Yes, right. We'll really be their guy.
Taylor Heineke can coach Desmond Ridder, who they, said is going to be the starting quarterback. So, obviously you have Heineke, who's been a career backup. He can, do his thing.
I think they should still look at a quarterback in the draft, but that's just.
I mean, listen, you don't have to argue with me.
We got the Baltimore Ravens. Look at this. Wow.
Talked about them already. I mean, Nelson Aguilar, congrats. I mean, whatever. They paid him $3.25. What were we paying him with the Pats, CJ? About 12?
Yeah, 11. 12 in incentives. Yeah.
Makes me sick. Bills get back Jordan Poyer, who a lot of people thought was going elsewhere. He made some comments about the taxes in New York, maybe going somewhere else. A lot of people thought Miami, but he ends up coming back. Connor McGovern, they steal away from, I believe, the Cowboys, right, CJ?
Yep. Yes.
Shore off that offensive line even more. Bring back Matt Milano, who's been unbelievable for them. Bring over our guy, Damian Harris.
Big pickup. Big pickup. That's the one.
Finally try and get that running game to be, relevant besides Josh Allen. I like what the Bills. Now, they did lose Terrell Edmonds, which we don't see here.
To the Bears,
he went over to the Bears with a big contract, but you win some, you lose some, huh?
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. I mean, he was pretty inconsistent. Talking to a couple of Bills fans, throughout his time as a Bill, he showed flashes of greatness, and there's other times where he was underwhelming. So I don't think they're going to miss him too much. Milano's done a phenomenal job at the linebacker position. He's excellent, high IQ. Damian Harris, man, happy for him. Listen, it's just we know how Belichick is. It's a rotation of running backs. You don't really see guys. I think Stevenson might be the guy that could probably get a second contract. I think he will be the one to get a second contract. But if he keeps coughing up the ball, maybe not. So it's a lot of pressure. A lot of eyes will be on him now to produce and show out this season for Ramondre. But yeah, Damian Harris now could. It's perfect. It's perfect, man. This is a good spot for him. He could really get another deal. It's a 1-year deal, kind of a prove it deal. He has to stay healthy. That's really been his issue in New England throughout his entire career. And with the Patriots, he'd shown flashes of playing well, but then it's just some hamstring, knee, things like that. So if he can stay on the field and he can produce, we obviously know that big touchdown that they had on Monday night 2 years ago at Buffalo. That's a big one. So he's comfortable playing in that stadium. And I think now with being behind Josh Allen, I think he's going to suit him well for sure. Wish him the best, man. Like I said, even though he's the division rival, when these Patriots leave and they go get money, I'm not like these fans that want to go in their DMs or at them and go in their timelines and call them traitors and all this type of stuff. At the end of the day, it's like it's still a job, and these people that do that, they're such hypocrites because no one's stayed with one job their entire life. Mm-hmm. Everybody relocates and goes different places. So why do we treat these NFL players like they're anything different? That's one thing that
let me tell you something. I'm sure if some other job offered you a giant pay raise in a new position, I don't think a lot of people would be exactly
I'm out of there. Yeah, I'm out of there. Exactly.
Bye. See ya.
Yeah, so fans are hypocrites, bro. They really are. They just look at football as this fantasy world where reality doesn't exist and there's no humans. Very, very weird. Those type of fans. They're very cringe. Carolina Panthers.
I like what Carolina's done, man. Hayden Hurst. That's a nice little safety valve for whoever they draft. Got Miles Sanders, who obviously solid running back for the Eagles. Now, obviously, he had the best offensive line in the league, so we're going to have to see what he does behind one that's obviously not as good because nobody really is the Eagles. They pick up a veteran in Adam Thielen for 3 years. You got a deep threat in DJ Chark now because obviously they had to give up DJ Moore in that trade for the first overall pick, but you got DJ Chark now, Adam Thielen.
I like the Dalton move too from the standpoint as yes, they're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, but to have a veteran guy. Yeah,
listen, people forget he had success, man. Andy Dalton had a lot of success in the league.
Yes, he did.
Playoffs and all that.
Right away too.
Yep. Move over to the Bears. DJ Moore with that trade we talked about from the Panthers. Obviously, that's huge. Finally getting Justin Fields an actual target is about time. We talked about it before. Tremaine Edmonds goes over there. They get a guard, Nate Davis, trying to, help him from not dying every time he tries to pass the ball. I like those as well. Ooh, they got Robert Tonyan too. Is that what that is? That tight end?
Yes, Robert Tonyan for 1 year, Chicago native. Deontay Foreman, just for fantasy people, he always at least one or two games. He always has a big breakout game throughout the season. So he's really good. He's really good. TJ Edwards too had a really solid year in Philadelphia last year. I like what the Bears are doing. Ryan Poole, starting to build his team how he sees fit. So they had the cap space, and again, very winnable division now that Rodgers is up out of there. So we'll see what happens with Chicago moving forward. Cincinnati Bengals, Orlando Brown, big pickup. You have to protect Joe Burrow. It's essential. It's imperative. He just won a Super Bowl. He's one of the best tackles in the NFL. Makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
That one is the biggest move that stands out to me for Cincinnati.
Absolutely. Brown's nothing. Elijah Moore, I guess.
Elijah Moore, solid. Yeah, Elijah Moore, solid weapon. Speedy guy. Didn't work out in New York. Quarterback play played a big part in that. So maybe now with Deshaun Watson there, we could kind of see what he could do at the wide receiver position. I'm very interested to see how he plays in Cleveland. Marquise Goodwin, the guy's been around, speedster guy. He's always going to find a home because he has that elite speed. So good for him. Josh Dobbs. Yeah, he has burning speed. Josh Dobbs, solid backup behind Deshaun. Maurice Hurts, really good 3-technique defensive tackle. Could definitely stop the run, make things clear up some lanes for those linebackers. It's solid for the Browns. Dallas Cowboys made some interesting moves. Tony Pollard, they franchised Tony Pollard. Probably would have made so much money this year, but since he broke his leg in the playoffs, that hurt him. And it hurt him, but it helped Dallas to keep him because there really wasn't a market for him because of the injury. So he's going to come back. Hopefully he comes back 100% and healthy, ready to go because he's going to be the guy. They cut Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott will not be a Dallas Cowboy next year. So I'm pretty sure they're going to draft a running back. I would hope that would make the most sense. And they've done a pretty good job in drafting too. So I think they'll be fine there. Stephon Gilmore from the Colts. I think that's a great pickup. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that. Listen, do I think he's the defensive player of the year that he was when he was on the Pats? No, but definitely has a lot more left. And honestly, he's the cornerback too. Obviously, you got Diggs on the other side of him, so that makes a very, very solid 1-2 punch. And the other one, speaking of a 1-2 punch, you got Brandon Cooks over there via trade as well. I mean,
underrated always.
I just don't understand why the man keeps getting traded everywhere. I don't get it. He has 1,000 yards every single year. Like every single year, the man has 1,000 yards, and he just can't stay on a team. I don't understand it. I don't know what I'm missing.
I don't get it. He's 29, still has a lot left in the tank. Just right now, really in his prime. And like you said, 1,000 yards, sure thing. He's going to get a stack every single season. Stephon Gilmore is really good as well because he could kind of teach some of the he could teach the technique, the technical things, technical skills. Because remember, Trevon Diggs hasn't been a corner for a long time. He started off as a wide receiver at Alabama, and then he transitioned to cornerback, I think, the last year. So
he gets caught in the double move a lot. Maybe Gilmore can help there.
No doubt. Led the league in interceptions during that defensive player of the year. The year he won defensive player of the year. So I think that's a great pickup for the Dallas Cowboys, getting a guy like Stephon Gilmore as that cornerback too. Bring Cooper Rush back. That's cool. Dak has some injury problems. He's familiar with the offense. He's familiar with that team. That's fine. Ronald Jones, solid rotational running back. But again, I still feel like they're gonna probably go in the draft and get one of those guys the later rounds. Denver Broncos, they shore up the offensive line. Mike McGlinchey, Chris Manhertz, okay tight end, not really a game breaker. Jared Stidham, back up.
So, I like Samaje though. I like Samaje. Yes. A nice little rotational piece there.
Yes, definitely. Nice rotational piece behind Javonte Williams. You would hope he'd come back and have a really good year after getting hurt. It's Broncos are some moves, but we know at the end of the day it comes down to 3 and also Sean Payton too. Yeah. Now that he's taken over as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Detroit Lions.
I ain't gonna lie, CJ. This is my pick to win the division.
You trust Goff that much?
I do. In this system, I do.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He did a really good job last year, but they still missed the playoffs last year, where they easily had an opportunity to go to the playoffs. And I think a lot of that has to do is because he's good, but he's just a younger Garoppolo to me.
Yeah, but I also do blame the fact that they had the worst defense in NFL history the first 8 months or 8 weeks of the season. I mean, they were giving up 40 like it was their job. Instead of to stop them, it was like their job to give up points. I mean, they might have fixed that. I mean, you got Gardner Johnson over there for only $8 million after he turned down a contract from the Eagles. And then they went and they re-signed Darius Slay instead.
David Montgomery's a solid pick after losing Jamal Williams to the Saints. So, listen, they're gonna. There's a lot of pressure.
You got a full year. You got a full year of what's the
Jameson Williams?
Jameson Williams got a full year. Jameson Williams.
Yes.
Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We know. Well, at least CJ knows. I should say. I'm a big Amon-Ra St. Brown guy.
Absolutely,
big fan.
I just want to see how they respond with everybody picking them as the favorite now. I think last year people thought it was a nice story, underdog, caught teams by surprise. Now teams are expecting them to be good.
Hard Knocks favorites.
Hard Knocks favorites. Great story. We love Motor City Dan. So
come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. So now that they're expected to be great, how are they going to respond? That's what I'm interested to see from the Detroit Lions team. But some really good, really solid pickups this year to shore up the roster. Green Bay, not much. I mean, they don't really do much in the offseason anyway. So not really much to talk about there. Houston Texans.
I mean, Robert Woods, nice little veteran in the wide receiver room, depending on, who else they pick up. Obviously, we're familiar with Shaq Mason. Obviously, a very nice guard over there. But nothing besides that really, is that impressive to me. You bring in Case Keenum, though. I do kind of like that for whoever they end up getting in the draft, because like I said, obviously he's been a backup quarterback, had success as a starter as well. I do like the Dalton Schultz as you scroll down there, and the Devin Singletary. Obviously they had the Laremy Tunsil. extension as well. So, you're shoring up that side of the line. You know that he's going to be protected over there. So Schultz, Singletary, Tunsil's very important. Shaq Mason. So you got, one side of the line pretty solid. And then Robert Woods can kind of do his thing in the wide receiver room, try and teach those guys, because he was, very successful over there with the Rams, one of the best blocking wide receivers we've seen in recent memory.
I agree. Watch out for Mechie, man. Mechie coming back after having cancer. I heard he's back healthy. He Alabama, he was a beast. So I think he's going to make an impact in this league once he gets right, once he gets healthy, conditioning and all that straightened out. Whoever they get at, and if they get Bryce, perfect. It's perfect.
Yep,
it's perfect.
It's Bryce, like Lamar and Joe.
Yeah, Bryce won the Heisman with Mechie right there on the outside. So that I just see that really working out for both of those players. Great pickups. I've got the Colts here. Solid moves. Minshew back up again. Not
kind of teaching whoever they pick.
Exactly. Nothing.
Isaiah McKenzie on the outside. That's not bad.
Yes, Speedster could really play in the slot. Has some really nice speed. Again, whoever they get at quarterback will determine how good he's going to be, because we saw when he was with Josh Allen, he looked great. Even when he played against New England, he looked like a Pro Bowler, all pro. It was crazy. Jacksonville, you're keeping Evan Ingram. He had an excellent year last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of Trevor Lawrence's trusted weapons. I'm on the outside. You expect him to even get even more opportunities and be open even more. Now you have Calvin Ridley there.
We're number 0.
Yes, we're at number 0. Fitting. Of course, he's the first one after coming back and being reinstated. So yeah, outside of keeping Evan Ingram, not really too much there for Carolina. Jacksonville, excuse me. Kansas City Chiefs.
Damn, they lose Orlando Brown. They say, "Hey, Juwan Taylor, how you doing?"
Yeah, what's up? How you doing? They're just gonna go back in the draft.
Want to come play?
They're gonna go in the draft again and probably show up some of those guys on the offensive line, edge, D line, linebacker. The rest is just really defense, and that's what you're gonna need, especially in this conference. So many great quarterbacks. Raiders. Obviously, the big move was they traded Darren Waller to the New York Giants. Big pickup for New York.
I don't understand that for me. I don't get it.
Just like I said, Josh McDaniels, man, he tries to be Belichick light, and all it's going to do is he's going to lose his job again. And I just hope he doesn't come back to New England. I'm good. I'm good on that. Like every time it doesn't work out for you being a head coach, you want to come back to New England, and no, I'm straight. Seriously. I just want to see somebody new in this, like, calling plays. Even Bill O'Brien coming back, it's like, let's get some. You don't have.
I tweeted it out. Nobody loves their exes like Bill Belichick.
There's no young coaches on that staff that Bill trusts that could call.
Steve Belichick.
On offense, no one. So Jimmy Garoppolo. Making 17, I think he's like 34 mil guaranteed. He's familiar with the offense. He knows.
Obviously, he's familiar with everything.
Yes. I think the Raiders should still look to see and draft a quarterback. Maybe they'll wait till next year because you have May and you have Caleb Williams coming out next year. So I can see them waiting. Garoppolo is not a long-term deal. He can't stay healthy. And even when he's playing in there, we haven't even seen him have any success outside of San Francisco, and he got carried.
Everybody's good in San Francisco.
Yeah. Brock Purdy playing well.
10-1 after he traded for McCaffrey.
Yeah, it hurt his stock really for Garoppolo. Brock Purdy coming in, being a 7th round pick, and
Mr. Relevant all of a sudden became almost Rookie of the Year by playing 4 games.
Exactly, leading the 49ers to the NFC Conference Championship game. I'm not sold on Garoppolo. Like I said, he is what he is. Solid game manager. He's a quarterback that you can win with, not that you can win because of. So
he's what I like to call the caboose, not the engine.
Exactly. Jacoby Myers, again, get your money, get your bread, brother. Wish you the best, even though you made probably one of the lowest IQ football players in NFL history.
Not one of. The lowest.
Yeah, you could argue it's top 1. It's top 1. I wouldn't debate you there. But he's getting his bread. He's familiar with his offense. He knows Josh McDaniels. I expect him to have a solid role and get some more targets now that Darren Waller's not there. He can kind of be that third option behind Devontae and Hunter Renfrow.
I agree.
Chargers.
Eric Kendrick is all right, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Sure enough, the O line is good. Slater should be back from injury, so they'll be good. They're going to be good. Rams no. Can't do much. The real big move that they traded Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins. That was their big move, but they lost somebody.
Yeah.
Really didn't get anyone back. Again, F them picks, but now you don't even have the players.
Time to pay the piper.
Yeah, you don't even have the players that you gave up the picks for on the team now. So weird, but they got that Super Bowl, and again, that's at
the end of the day, it's all worth it to them.
Yeah, they got the Super Bowl.
They got all that Super Bowl money.
Facts. Miami Dolphins, Jalen Ramsey, like we just talked about, Mike White, not injury prone, okay, backup quarterback. Bringing back Jeff Wilson, bringing back Raheem Mostert. They know that offense. Good pickouts, but nothing crazy. They got rid of Mike Gesicki. He's with the home team. Yes, sir. We'll get into that in a little bit when we get to the Patriots. Byron Murphy coming from the Cardinals, going to the Minnesota Vikings. They needed secondary help. They're one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. Again, like Daniel Jones had the two best games of his career last year against the Minnesota Vikings. So they need to shore up that defense 1,000%. Solid pieces, rotation pieces, nothing really impactful there. New England, bring back Jabril Peppers, bring back Jonathan Jones. Really solid slot. He's not really an outside corner. He really works in the slot. So I really want to see what Bill does in the draft and who he picks up to be that outside guy at the cornerback position. You need a shutdown corner. You just do. Calvin Anderson. We always rotate with these offensive linemen.
Yep.
Trent Brown in and out of the lineup. I don't even know if he's going to stay. He might get cut. We'll see what happens. I don't know what happens with Trent Brown, but he's talented. He shows flashes of greatness, and he shows flashes of he shouldn't be on the team. Juju, it's true. Juju Smith-Schuster. Wow. A lot of fans, and it's weird. I don't care what he does on TikTok. Wow, he dances on TikTok.
Okay, CJ, here's my thing. Here's a simple answer to that. And listen, I don't even know if I really Juju. Doesn't impress me, but it's a wide receiver, and we don't really have anything better than that. So hell, I'll take anything at this point. But CJ, here's my simple answer to when everybody's like, "Oh, well, he fit in and everything." Do people forget that Rob Gronkowski was on the Patriots? Like, do we forget that Gronk, Mr. Party Animal, Yo Soy Fiesta head ass, was on the Patriots? Like, who cares? If he does whatever he wants, if he does what he's supposed to do on the field, it's not a problem. Bill doesn't care. Listen, maybe Bill didn't care because Gronk might be the best tight end of all time, but if Juju's out here making TikToks, but then goes off for 100, one for 120 and 2 touchdowns, you really think Bill cares that he made a TikTok? Gronk was on the team. This man would get off the field and go on a party bus to Vegas. You really think Bill cares?
And obviously it shows Bill doesn't care about the TikTok because he signed him. So it's like, so he's a good player. Top 10 in the AFC in yards after catch. Also was top 10 in the AFC in yards after catch. Ramondre Stevenson. So now when you add that to the offense, I think he's going to help. He's going to help. He's not Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers really couldn't create separation. Yeah. Was never a deep threat. He was more of a possession type wide receiver, third downs, things like that. For Juju, he could catch the football and get yards after the catch and score. That's big to me. That's something that they don't have. Yeah, is he is he a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL? No, but I think he's an upgrade from what we had last year. No question about it. You bring him in with Devontae Parker, with Kendrick Bourne, and hopefully we'll see what they do in the draft. Maybe they bring in Jackson Enigba from Ohio State at 14. We'll see. Matthew Slater, bring him back. It's probably his last year. Devin McCourty retired. Hell of a career. Dante Hightower also retired. Hell of a career. Salute to those brothers. Brought a lot of memories for us. As
Hightower's the most underrated tackle in Super Bowl history.
Devin McCourty. Oh, right. I was just gonna say most underrated linebacker up there too. And Devin McCourty, one of the most underrated safeties in his generation.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I really do. I think McCourty should be in the Hall of Fame.
Our Hall of Fame criteria is different.
3 Super Bowls.
Make your case.
I mean, 3 Super Bowls. I believe he led the. He was at a. I believe he led the league in interceptions once.
Year, yep. Mm-hmm.
He was a ball hawk. I mean, always led. He was one of the leaders on a defense that was in the top 10 every single year. And then obviously people will take it away. Well, he was being coached by Bill. All right, whatever. Still have to go out on the field and actually do it. I don't care. You could coach me to go out there and let me tell you something. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I don't know. I think McCourty has a case for the Hall of Fame. I really do.
Excellent career. Gonna get in the Patriot Hall of Fame for sure.
Oh yeah, he's in the Ring of Honor.
Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't know. I don't think he makes it. Unfortunately, that'd be great if he did, but I don't think he does. He was never considered the best. How I view Hall of Fame is, were you at least top 5 in your position throughout your entire career? He was around there. He was around there. There were moments, but Hall of Fame is not moments. It's just consistency throughout your entire career. So I think he'll probably miss the cut there. But again, hell of a career. Wish him the best. I see him doing TV now, so I think that him and his brother are doing a great job. New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr. That's the big move.
And Michael Thomas coming back. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to come back. He signs that 1-year, $10 million deal. Obviously a prove-it situation, and then you kind of go on from there because he's been hurt with the foot, the last couple of years and everything like with that nature. But they also get Jamal Williams, who, stole about 855 touchdowns from DeAndre Swift. Every fantasy owner hates Jamal Williams if they didn't have him on the team. But obviously he can be your short yardage guy. You don't know what's going on with Alvin Kamara with his whole situation. So they got a nice little backup plan there. Jameis comes back. He'll be the backup, obviously. So, listen, I don't mind it. I think they're the favorites right now in the division, obviously.
Definitely the favorites. Carr, here it is. What you going to do? We have actually a stable franchise now. So it's on you now. Solid weapons, Kamara, Thomas, Jawan Johnson, X Factor had a really good second half of the year, made some really big plays. I look to him to, have a really good rapport with Derek Carr. So excellent defense. What are you going to do, Derek Carr? This is it, bro. This is it for you right here. It's time for you to show what you could do with a solid team, solid roster around you in a winnable division, layup division. No excuses.
I don't know who else is competing in that one. Jesus.
No way. New York Giants. They re-signed Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million. What's your thoughts on that?
God bless Daniel Jones. Listen, I know that they made the playoffs and the Giants aren't used to that after, those 2 Super Bowl runs. They haven't been very good. I'm sorry. I still don't see it. If I was a fan of anybody else in that division, I would be jumping up and down in joy with the fact that they paid Daniel Jones that much money for 4 years. CJ, he had 15 passing touchdowns. We're acting like the dude went out there and threw for 40 touchdowns and was an MVP candidate. He had 15 passing touchdowns and like 7 on the ground, 7 or 9 on the ground. He combined for in the 20s. A great Justin Herbert had 20 at week 10. Mahomes probably had it in week 8. Josh Allen probably had that in week 8 too. What are we talking about? Everybody's just excited about Daniel. Hey, listen, if I could make $160 million in 4 years, be in mid-99, I would love to do it.
I think people are excited because we saw the first year where he had structure. He made the playoffs as a starting quarterback. And I think people are more excited about Daniel Jones because who's coaching him, Brian Daboll.
Oh, yeah.
And how great of a job he did last year with the New York Giants. 15 passing touchdowns is not great, but I have to stay consistent. If I'm going to say Lamar doesn't have weapons, neither did Daniel Jones.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right.
At all. No, no one.
That was the 32nd worst receiving core in the NFL. Especially by the end of the year. By the end of the year, they literally went into Kmart, said, "Hey, buddy, you look pretty athletic over there in cashier number 4. You ever thought about playing in the NFL?" That's probably how they found their wide receivers at the end of the year.
I agree. And I mean, they picked up Isaiah Hodgins, who had a really nice game against the Minnesota Vikings in that wild card matchup. He knows that offense with Dayball. And of course, the big pickup was Darren Waller, security blanket for a young quarterback. It's necessary. So right now, when you look at the contract, is he worth $40 million a year? Again, based off what we've seen, no, but also you have to look at what we've seen, and it's been a lot of dysfunction around him. So you would hope now with some structure, and he's gifted. He's very talented. Like for his ability,
got some wheels on him.
There's not low key. He can move. He could definitely move. He's very athletic, has a strong arm.
Vanilla Vic, huh?
That's what they're calling him. That's what they call him. That's not my nickname for him, but that's what they call him. So he's like I said, he's talented, and I think now with a actual coach that knows what they're doing, like Joe Judge, they should be good. They should be good, and we'll see if he can make that next step. Now you get the money, where they love you in the rookie contract. Everybody loves you when you're not making. All these fans love you when you're not making the money. But once you get this $100 million plus deal, it's what are you going to do? So it's a lot of pressure on him for sure. Market, obviously, bringing Saquon back. What's a big deal? Franchise tag. He should have a long-term deal, but running backs don't get paid like that. Just like Josh Jacobs didn't get a long-term. So he also got franchise tag. That's just what it is for running backs, unfortunately. But Darren Waller, man, even though he has struggled with injuries over these last few seasons, and that's the thing for me. I think they should, get a few more weapons around Daniel Jones, because Waller does have injuries. If you would just rely on him to be that solely number one option for him,
that's got to be your thing in the draft. There's no way.
Got to be the thing in the draft. Or I mean, listen, I don't know what Odell's price is. People are just throwing that $20 million around, and
now he's apparently interested in the Jets. If Mr. Aaron gets traded over there, so he might be playing in MetLife just in different colors.
Possible. To me, I think I would love to see a reunion here in New York with the Giants, not the Jets. People are saying the media were saying he wanted 20 mil, and then he came out a tweet and said he never brought up $20 million. Yep. We just wanted more than 4, which I agree. He's definitely worth more than $4 million a year. Let's stop it for these front offices here. Breida, nice player, really speedy guy. Paris Campbell, same thing. Jahad Ward, shout out New York native. Getting another deal with the Giants. Slayton, good, solid number, probably number 3 wide receiver. So yeah, good year. I mean, good offseason for the Giants. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers is on the horizon.
Waiting for
sure.
The big shoe to drop.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that big move. So that they obviously that alone puts them in a big spot in terms of having a really good offseason. Picking up one of his favorite receivers, Alan Lazard, 4 years, $44 million. That's a good move.
Speedster with McCole Hardman.
Yeah, Speedster with McCole Hardman, and you got Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year, as well. So that offense
Bryce Hall was going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He'll be back from the ACL, I believe it was.
Yes. So the offense is looking dynamic, man. Once they get 12 in there, it's on paper.
Very important.
On paper, because
it's going to be fun to play with.
Let's not forget who the offensive coordinator is. It's the same guy who was the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and they couldn't even get 16 points in the NFL.
But as the offensive coordinator, that was Rodgers' MVP.
Was he calling the plays, or was it LaFleur?
I mean, he was the offensive coordinator. I mean, it depends on if you're thinking it's a Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid situation that a lot of people think that is.
He was calling the plays last year.
I do know that Rodgers really likes him though.
Okay, but
so I mean, maybe. Listen, I don't know, but hey, if Rodgers likes him, and that's just another way you can get him there, salute.
Salute, yeah, for sure. That's a great move to get Rodgers there. I agree. But does that mean he's going to be a great play caller? I guess Rodgers calling the offense. To me, that's what that says to me, because I looked at this, he was just hired head coach last year and got fired.
I mean, hey,
for the same reasons we're just talking about. He had a great relationship with Aaron Rodgers. He got the job because of the relationship with Aaron Rodgers, and then they got fired.
There's some people that are meant to be head coach, meant to be coordinators, man.
True, that's true. So we'll see if that's him. Philadelphia Eagles bringing back Fletcher Cox, re-signing James Bradbury, bringing back Darius Slay, like you talked about earlier.
Huge.
Kelsey, big time. Boston Scott always finds a way to make plays. Rashad Penny, really good player as well.
If he stays healthy, Rashad Penny might pop off this year.
I can see it. I mean, behind that offensive line, it's very possible. Mariota as a backup behind Jalen Hurts. We know Jalen Hurts had got some injuries towards the end of this. Got hurt towards the end of the season. So bringing a guy like Mariota can win you a game or two if Hurts were to get hurt. I think that's a really good pickup. Having him holding the clipboard.
2 QB set, both mobile. Ooh.
Nah, I don't want him out there. I'd rather have an actual guy that can make plays out there, man. Two quarterbacks on one possession. Chill.
Hey, a little flea flicker, bang.
And then bringing in Lane Johnson too, bringing back Lane Johnson, and keeping that leadership right there.
$3 million for 1 year. God bless.
Deserves every penny.
Terrell Edmonds replacing CJ.
Yes, exactly. That Lane Johnson, man, deserves every penny, bro. He had a great season.
I think he hasn't given up a sack in 2 years. That's ridiculous.
He's a beast. He's a beast. Pittsburgh Steelers, Patrick Peterson. Pat Pete, obviously not what he used to be. He's not Cardinal Pat Pete, but he can still make plays here and there. He's with the Steelers. They don't need him to be that type of guy anyway. They have a really good defense.
Yeah.
Other than that,
as long as TJ Watt's active.
Exactly. As long as TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, as those guys are out there, he's going to be fine. No question about it. All those other pickups are, solid moves, rotation moves for the roster. 49ers bringing in Javon Hargrave from Philadelphia. That's a big pickup. Just shoring up that.
Good.
That's just making the defensive line even stronger.
Line is ridiculous.
Yes,
they shouldn't even be allowed to play. You got Nick Bosa, Hargrave. What's the
Kinlaw, Greenlaw, both got Warner. Yeah, that front seven is crazy, bro. It really is. Sam Darnold again. He's going to be a journeyman for the rest of his career. That's just what it is.
I'd love to be a journeyman and make $11.5 million. I'm jealous.
Backup quarterback. It's not a bad job.
It's the best job. It's the greatest job in the history of sports.
I agree. No pressure. You get to just sit back and watch the starter either play well or sell. You come in, win a couple games, they love you, and if you have some solid games in that season as the backup, next offseason you could get a bag. Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Seahawks, big move was bringing back Geno Smith, 3 years, $75 million. This is a deal where it's like you're gonna be a starter for us next year, but I can see them definitely also going in the draft and trying to get a quarterback.
Told you he wasn't getting that $30 million a season.
Well, I mean,
I told you.
He came back to life towards like the second half of the year, bro. So it's on him, and the reason why they made it to the playoffs is the Lions beat the Packers in the last game of the season. So cool. I thought he was on his way. He was on his way.
He was playing well.
They were winning the division. It was
a hell of a story. Comeback player of the year, which doesn't make sense to me, but whatever.
They were leading the division. They were up. I was like, all right, man. If he keeps playing like this, he's gonna get a bag. But he came back to life a little bit.
Back to reality is something.
He did. He definitely did. So we'll see if he could keep it consistent and have another good year with the Seahawks.
Bring back Bobby Wagner.
Yes, that's the big move. Bringing back Bobby Wagner. He's always going to retire as Seahawk. I don't know how many years he has left. Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah,
but, just for him to come back, obviously where it started, big move. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Levante David, of course, veteran leader, one of the best Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time. So bringing him back was big, just to have his voice there. Baker Mayfield, it's going to be a journeyman. Yeah. Wow.
QB1 walked into Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Blessed,
Not a bad life. Not a bad life.
Brother's blessed. Better be blessed, man. Tennessee Titans. Dillard, solid offensive tackle. Arden Key gets to the pass rusher, situational pass rusher. Good moves. Again, they're not going to do anything until they get rid of Ryan Tannehill.
No.
Commanders, keeping Deron Payne was big.
It's
a great player in that front seven. Shoring up that O-line. There's a lot of trenches. They did a lot of moves in the trenches, which is key, which is good.
Jacoby Brissett can teach,
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell, there you go.
Nice moves by the Commanders, but nothing too crazy. And that concludes the off-season moves for each team in the NFL.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does. And CJ, it also concludes the first show back. We're
Yes,
back.
sir.
The gang is back together. Happy to be back. Happy to be talking, football with my guy once again. Appreciate everybody that pulled up to the show. Got a few comments. Shout out to the boys. A couple subs. I know some of my boys hit me up, so I appreciate them. Of course,
Sir, appreciate you.
Appreciate CJ for bringing it back with me. And listen, like I said at the beginning, it's going to be a journey. Obviously, with the whole independent route, it's obviously not going to, first show we're not getting 40,000 viewers. I'm not Pat McAfee, unfortunately. But you kind of look at those things and you try and build towards it. We obviously think that we got a nice little future together, and we got the draft. We'll have the draft covered. We'll be back every week. We'll have the pods up. Like CJ said, we'll be doing clips and things of that nature as well. So I'm very excited for the future, to say the least. The hard count underscore on Twitter, as you can see, is scrolling on the bottom if you're watching on YouTube. The hard count NFL on Instagram, and the hard count NFL on Facebook as well. I appreciate everybody. You can follow me, Anthony Conover underscore, on Twitter. You can find all the things that I'm doing there. Generational Sports. I'm bringing back Backstop Banter. If you guys have seen me over there with Michael, we'll be doing that tomorrow. Talking some baseball things. Opening day being Thursday, which I'll be attending, by the way. I will be at opening day. I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
Let's get it.
So, all that being said, I hand the floor to CJ over there. He can tell you everything that's going on with him, and then we'll head out.
MNC Hoops live every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Follow me on Twitter at CJames9 _. MNC Hoops, man. Hard count. We're back. We're back, man. We're here to talk some NFL. I love football too much to not have it. We already had a show. It's like, why make a brand new show? When Connie has so much chemistry. 2 years. That's 2 years together. Was 2021. Was the first year we were together in February. So, we were right around 2-year anniversary, with my guy Connie. So just continue to keep it moving, man. Again, independent route, but it's something we're going to attack and we're going to dominate. And that's just our mindset. So I appreciate everybody continuing to support. Everybody's coming that sub to tonight, and for the future as well. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. With all that being said, we will catch you on the next episode.